And when you look at things through his eyes, forgiveness manifests.
Right.
You didn't have to try to forgive. You don't even know really it was working until after, and you could get happy about it. It's just the way you process things.
Sure.
God doesn't impute sin to people.
People
Meaning,
do.
he doesn't confuse who people are with what they do. We do. That's why we get so hurt by what people do. We impute their bad behavior against us to them. We want to hold them accountable for what they've done. We want to make sure they know about what they've done. We want to make sure that they're repentant for what they've done. All the while, when we impute sin to other people, we're planting unforgiveness in us. Because forgiveness is the non-imputation of sin. So the moment I impute sin to somebody, meaning I look at somebody and I look at what they've done to me and I say, they chose to do that. They could have chose not to do it, but they chose to do it. As if the thought and intent of their heart was to hurt me. That's the imputation of sin, right? And I think when we think about imputation of sin, we get it kind of twisted. The imputation of sin is I judge the thoughts and intents of somebody's heart behind what they've done to me. And I conclude that it was them that did this to me. The moment I conclude it's them that did this to me, then I've imputed sin to them. And now I've made it impossible for forgiveness to work in my life. And so God, when he would see it, he would come and say, it's not them that did this to you. It's the sin that was dwelling in them that took their members captive and made them do things to you that they didn't actually want to do. Meaning, in their mind, before they did anything to hurt you, they thought, man, I only want to be good to them. I only want to love them. I only want to do the right thing. I only care about their life and their life having a good go of it. I only want them to be happy. That's what they thought in their mind. And then when they tried to put that to work, they found something else manifested. The very thing that they didn't want to happen. And so then they walk away miserable about what they've done to you. Well, we conclude that they wanted to do it. We want to hold them accountable. We act as if they're a free person, completely free, and from their freedom, this is what they chose to do to me. Instead of seeing it as them being in bondage to something, making them do things that they don't want to do. And that they're actually miserable with themselves for having done it. They go off in the corner and they're like Paul, oh, wretched person that I am. I wanted to love them with all my heart, with all my soul, with all my strength. But when I tried to do it, I found that I didn't do it, and I actually did this thing over here that I never wanted to do. Oh, wretched person that I am. You see, but then we want to hold them accountable. And we want to impute their sin to them as if they had a say-so in it. I know this is radical for people, but when you look in the Bible, this is what the Bible, they didn't have no say-so in it.
When I first heard it, I thought it was crazy.
That's what everybody thinks, but they didn't have a say-so in it. It's not like we're over in the corner with our chalkboard, weighing out our decisions, and then after our much figuring, we decided this is the way to go, and then they come and did this horrible thing to you. They're in bondage, man. And their bondage reached out and touched you.
And what's really helped me is now to understand that was the thought process of Jesus on the cross. That is huge for me. That is like, oh my, I mean, it's completely changed what I saw happen at the cross.
And that's how it happened in him. He didn't confuse who those people were with what was happening to him. He didn't say, look at what these people are doing to me. He didn't say that.
He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
They don't know what they're doing. They can't help themselves. Their members have been taken captive by the serpent's wisdom, and it's making them do things that they actually don't even desire to do. We all think that we can see the rage or the animalistic instinct of a person while they're in the middle of doing some crazy thing. And then we think at night when they're all alone by themselves that they put on a party hat, make themselves a cake, and rejoice as if they're happy about what they've done. No. When they're all alone by themselves, they feel shame, they feel guilt, they feel horrible, they feel like a miserable person. That's how they feel.
So what's a willful sin to you?
A willful sin is that I hear I can't have life by my own works. I can only have it by grace. And I say, forget that. I'm going to have life by my own
Fully
works.
understand everything you're saying now.
That's a willful sin.
Now, how do you take that and then, reconcile that with this fact that there are some people who do something bad, but they feel bad about it, and they don't actually want to do that. When they've rejected the thing, when they say, "Oh, I see the life," but no.
Well, you'd have to first prove or conclude that they had seen it yet, or that they'd heard the message yet.
So does the willful sin exist, or is it just an idea?
No, the willful sin exists.
So there's a person who could willfully sin.
Absolutely.
So let's say take that as a given.
They could hear the truth. Well, I don't want to talk about, what's what I want to look.
Speculation.
Yeah, I don't want to speculate. We're not talking about speculative situations. We're going to talk about real people and real situations. We're not going to talk about speculative situations. So if you want to bring real people into it, and we can look at a real person and say this is how it looked there, then we can look at it that way. So if we want to look at Paul and say that Jesus saw Paul on the road to Damascus. Damascus? So if after Paul encountered Jesus,
Yes.
Paul rejected that, that would be the willful sin.
So he fully understood, he fully saw,
He saw the truth and he rejected it.
and he understood.
Well, I mean, you can speculate whether or not he understood, but if you see the Lord face to face, you realize that that clearly he's the Son of God, because that guy was dead and now he's back from the dead. And in that he's back from the dead, that's testifying that the word he spoke came from God, because God's immortal. And the only way this guy could now be alive after he died is if he come from God. And so that tells me everything he said is the truth. And so that's what I would say Paul began unwrapping. The fact this guy, because Paul talked about God, the only immortal.
So you think that he did willfully sin? In that instance.
No, if he would have continued there and rejected Jesus, that would be the willful sin.